This video is sponsored by Tenant. Being in business, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who, you've got the Instagram story, right? Oh, well, I'm making all this money, I'm doing all this stuff, I have all these nice things, and there's this fairy tale story about what it is to own a business.
You sit back and you look at all the things that we've done and like, we just haven't done enough.
You start justifying working longer hours, dealing with more crap.
I gotta get in here in this.
I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. Then you are driving yourself into an early grave, and before that, you are torturing yourself along the way. If you feel disconnected from the people who love you the most,
you're probably burning out.
When it comes to business burnout, if you haven't already felt it, I guarantee you will. And when you start feeling it, you need to set up some boundaries.
But I mean, that's what it is. It's like the things you would do to unwind are not fun anymore. Like, you don't want to go out and see your friends. You'd rather like, I just want to stay home.
I think a big thing that's going to really, that's going to throw a wrench into the mix and you don't even know what's going to happen is that you're already burnt out, and you then, because you've been working, burning the candle at both ends, now your family is like, Dad, you're never around.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh man.
So you get to the point where that burnout for me recognized, like, it's not about the money. It's not about everything else. It's about the point where it's like, what I'm doing is not worth it.
Becoming a business owner means putting a lot of mental stress on yourself. How do you recognize when burnout is creeping in? What does decision fatigue actually look like? And what real-life strategies can you use to protect your peace while still running a successful business? In today's episode, Greg and I will answer these questions and also provide some strategies that can help you stay focused and be successful while maintaining the mental load that comes with being a business owner. All right, so Greg, let's talk about subscriptions. You want to talk about subscriptions?
Yeah, we always kind of do it this time. I mean,
let's just keep it light.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're not subscribed,
just subscribe.
Look
it up.
Okay. A lot of folks aren't that are watching this. So
this is a good topic. I mean, that we're learning today. So subscribing to this, you're probably going to hear some things you don't hear about just janitorial. Kind of gives us an inside look on how the difference between Matt and I deal with stress and fatigue and stuff like that. So
this is a pretty heavy topic. I mean,
it really is, and it's really, I don't want to say confrontational, but it is kind of like opening up, and you're seeing a different side of us, I think.
Jordan, did you bring tissues? Because I might need to cry later. I'm just kidding. I'll be fine.
Got a fern back there.
We got a fern. Yeah. All right. No, but no, all seriousness. I mean, being in business, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who, you've got the Instagram story, right? Oh, well, I'm making all this money, I'm doing all this stuff, I have all these nice things. And, there's this fairy tale story about what it is to own a business.
Yeah. You almost think like, well, when I'm in business, I can do what I want now. I'm the boss. Be like,
but there, a lot of the things you don't see, I mean, it really is like the duck in the water, right? And they look peaceful. They look like they're under control, but it's complete chaos under the water, right?
On top of the water too. If you have ducks, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, Greg has ducks. But, we can kind of get a visual of, that they're paddling like crazy. And this is what business ownership really is. And, those who do this well tend to find balance where they can find it.
Yeah.
And everyone, and I'll speak,
and they have like a regiment, I guess.
A routine that you work through that, your time is your time. Being able to create project time and create crazy busy time. So, today we're going to talk a lot about this kind of stuff because we all struggle with it. I mean, and everybody has a breaking point. I mean, I can say, for me, I mean, just this week, I'm not getting into details, but I mean, I've got my plate is full, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And at some point, everybody hits this, this burnout or breaking point where they're just like, shit, I can't handle this anymore, and then you get back into your routines and you start automating the things that you get back into your automation, and that comfort gets you back into, some productivity. And so, this is, just as much a conversation about like, hey, how are you as a janitorial, owner going to handle this? But it's like, how are you going to handle this as a father? Like, how are you going to handle this as someone
husband, a wife,
whatever, husband, a wife, whatever it may be, because, there are going to be seasons in your business where it's rough, growing your business, taking on new accounts, dealing with bad employees, lawsuits, with your employees or potential lawsuits, the state, the Fed, all kinds of people, everybody wants a piece of you. And the bigger you get, the more that's the truth, it just is what it is. So, for you to keep your peace, we got to have some strategies here. And so we're going to talk about this. And mental load includes all of those things that you can think of, your employees, your
physical health, your mental health.
Yeah. Your mental health, your clients and everybody dragging at you, all that stuff. And I like to use the word bandwidth, right? Like I only have so much bandwidth to deal with things. And if you're not able to control what comes in to your space, then you're going to,
you know what to engage with
gone.
and what not to.
Yeah. So, what are some of the signs that, and Greg, you referenced in episode 23. So if you haven't watched that one, Greg has a contingency plan to deal with.
I think that's the episode where I was sick, and like my contingency plan when you were sick,
get a bucket,
is to use your rolling trash can as a barf bag.
Yeah. I mean, but and I'll tell you, right. There's
most people would have just called in sick, but we didn't get brought up that way.
I mean, and also, all joking aside, right? We say these things like it's a badge of honor, right?
Yeah. And really it's a badge of bad planning.
It is, because if we would have given more thought to our own health and well-being, I mean, the amount of years that you and I have been in this, and have sacrificed time with our families, so many
injuries,
things,
all kinds of things,
injuries, illness, our health in general, mental and physical health, because we got to get this shit done, right? Like we got to get this done. And, that's great. I mean, you should be really proud of yourself. But at the end of the day, if we simply would have had a better plan and in so many ways, so many cases, hired the right people, paid them what they were worth, and counted on them to do the job instead of us trying to do 5 people's jobs, we would be in a much better mental and physical space now. Financial space right now than we are.
Great people multiply profit.
But these are things that, like, how do you know when you're getting burnout? And if you don't know the answer to this, then I'm worried. Okay. But
I think when the first thing is like the things you used to do for fun aren't fun anymore.
You talking about golf?
Well, it's still not fun for me, but I do enjoy it, but
because I stopped playing because I was not having fun.
But I mean, that's what it is. It's like the things you would do to unwind are not fun anymore. Like you don't want to go out and see your friends. You'd rather like, I just want to stay home.
Just going to watch a movie and hang out.
Yeah. That's what your regular, unwind down. That's fine. But if you're someone that's always out with your friends and then all of a sudden, then this is all, mental health stuff. But yeah.
And I'll tell you from my own experiences and just and somewhat recent experiences is that when you feel like you have to completely disconnect yourself from other humans and the ones that you love the most, then you're like just blind ambition. I'm doing this because of these reasons. And you start justifying working longer hours, dealing with more crap. I
got to get in here in this.
I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Then you are driving yourself into an early grave. And before that, you are torturing yourself along the way. Right. And so if you feel disconnected from the people who love you the most,
you're probably burning out.
Chances are you are already in the phase. And the best way for you to recognize that, or to get yourself out of it is to go and give back the love that they love you for, right? If you can do that, slow down, spend some time with the people that you care about, that care about you, and then start asking them questions like, what do you think I could do to release some of this stress and deal with some of these things? I just had a consulting client. I would also consider him a friend that I haven't spoken to in a little while. And he reached out to me and he was like, man, I just don't get it right now. Like I don't feel inspired to do what I'm doing. I feel like, I'm at a point where I have to make some decisions. And I was like, if there's one thing I can give you, like one thing I would recommend, it would be start a morning routine. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and do 20 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of exercise, and 20 minutes of meditation and just self-thought, just like sitting in your own skin long enough to be able to say, I'm ready for my day.
Yeah.
Because most of us don't give that 60 minutes that we deserve. Like we just get up in the morning and we're immediately out of bed. We're racing around, getting the kids ready for school. And we get out the door in the last second. And then we're rushing up and down the street. We're speeding to get to the school. And when we get there, we're like, we don't even say, I love you to our kids. We just throw them out the door. And then we're back on the freeway and we're doing it again. It's the same thing every single day. And what are you giving to yourself? And so when I told him that, and I was like, here's a book, just read this one book. I want you to listen to every morning for 20 minutes. And it's called Atomic Habits,
Yeah,
which I love that book. And I'm actually reading something else now that's a little bit more of a clinical version of a habits book. Because, I think what comes from a lot of this burnout thing is that we do not always remember how important it is to automate things that are, stressing us out. And in business, what is our, what tools do we have to automate things?
A lot.
Well, a lot.
Computers, everything.
Computers, apps. But you know what the greatest thing is? Hire great people.
Yeah.
Hire good. Jordan, you're new to the team.
We got microphones
and I can tell you from the moment that you came in the door, it's completely like Moses was hard to lose. It was really, really rough. But you've created an environment in this role that has given us the ability to focus on what we need to do, knowing that you're able to handle what you need to do and do it really, really well. That takes a burden off of us as business owners to be able to focus on what is important that day, right? So many people in business would look at what you're doing, Jordan, and say, this is an expense that we don't need to afford. If I don't have to pay you, then I can pay myself more. And this is a total trap. It's a total trap for people to add more into
what they do every day.
And they don't have enough bandwidth to be able to do it all. So then the stress goes on, and then what do? They go home and they start getting angry with the people they love the most. My personal issue when it comes to getting stressed at work is that I get on rails. And that's,
I see it.
It's a saying.
Or the text message the night before, I got all this going on. Just a reminder. And I'm like, got you, bro. But him and I understand each other. It's like, if he doesn't say it, it's going to eat him up. So I know.
Yeah.
So, but like that, we know, but most people don't know like their partners or their employer or whatever in that way. That it's like, I get it. Right.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, okay, then I need to understand on my side that for him to be comfortable, I would have to say, not a problem, dude. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is like, dude, thank God. Like he reminded me of the weekend. We got people starting, and I looked at my thing. I was like, oh, you're talking about us starting in a different place. Actually, no, that got moved back to the 22nd. But yeah, that people starting. But I was there at CBU in the morning.
No, I know. But these are things that, I'll send messages to employees, through Slack at 4:30 in the morning, because I'll get up at, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock is my absolute time to get up. So I can get my routine done. And, and I have to be careful because I'm sending messages to people at 4:30 in the morning. They're like, this dude is like,
does he want me to answer him right now?
Yeah. He's like,
and I have to manage that with my employees. Like, you don't have to answer it. I'm just doing because I'm going to remind you.
Yeah. And that's when I get my best work done is in the mornings. I mean, I don't do a 20-20-20. I do a 30-minute book and, 45 minutes to an hour exercise and like a 20-minute meditation and about 60 minutes of work. Like that's because before 7 o'clock, I've gotten more done by 7 a.m. than most people have by 3.
It's like the Army.
Well, because I can't get anything done after 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Everybody's up in your face and everything's going on.
That's why I'm on the on-air sign.
I know that I saw that. You have that on air sign in your office. But this is where you've got this stuff where, you're setting boundaries, right? That if you don't create boundaries, like for me in the mornings, my boundaries are I've got a detached garage, right? That during COVID, I was going to turn into like just kind of a cool little hangout place for me.
Now it's like a legit house.
It turned into a little bit more of a project than I expected. Now it
looks cool though.
Now it's a full on like house.
Don't ask you as a permit, but it looks cool.
It's permitted.
It is.
But anyway, I got my own bathroom, shower, kitchen, and it's a great little place, but that's my place, right? So when I go back there, have my coffee in the morning, nobody bugs me. It's completely quiet.
See, and I'm kind of the opposite. Like I like the family and the kids around, I value my time in the morning where, I'll do my exercise in the morning. Then I get up and like, I'll take my son to school or I'll take my daughter to school or like all the kids to school and we'll have conversations. And, that's what energizes me. It's like, I have to have that interaction with the kids.
Yeah.
To see how they are. And it's like, if I'm not a good dad to them, I can't be good for anyone else. So, and when I have to go to work early, it's like Austin, my son's Austin, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, who's going to take me to school?" I was like, "Mom will take you to school." Okay.
Yeah, but these are the boundaries, right?
If you're using a traditional mop for your facility, it's time to upgrade. The Tennant i-mop XL Plus combines the mobility of a mop with the cleaning power of an auto scrubber, and it's changing how teams clean. It's cordless, fast, and simple to operate, which means less downtime and better results. Plus, it uses less water and fewer chemicals, so you're cutting waste without cutting corners. Whether you're just getting started or scaling up, Tennant i-mop makes a real difference. Click on the link in the description to schedule your free demo.
As a business person too, we struggle. I had an employee, a very, very, very good employee of ours about 6 months to a year ago. I met her in our conference room and she was in tears, and I was like, what's going on? And I was like, God, please don't quit, because she's such a great person for us. And she was like, I feel like I need to be perfect. I feel like I need to always be working and I don't have the time to get all this stuff done. And so I told her, I was like, you have permission to completely go analog, like completely turn off everything and just go do projects. Just lock yourself up in your office and no one's allowed to bother you for what we call sprints.
Yeah.
Right. And so for us in business, I've learned this where I actually discipline myself because I get caught up in like, I hear something and I'm like, oh, squirrel. Let me go over here and I'm going to go talk to somebody.
You never been to Hemet?
He's like, you never been to Hemet? Hold on a second. Let me tell you about Hemet. Where, what I need to do is like literally put myself into my space, put on my earphones, my earbuds, and set my timer for 30 minutes and turn off everything except for that project that I'm working on. And when the alarm goes off, I get up, I do something that I enjoy for like 2 or 3 minutes. I'll, scroll the internet or go and,
whatever,
go get a snack or whatever. And then I'll get right back into it and do it again. Right. Is it always going to work? No. Do I get distracted? Do people walk into my office all the time and say, hey man, can I get a minute? And it's never a minute. But I also have given myself those 2.5 hours in the morning to be able to get myself completely organized so that by the time 8 o'clock hits, I'm not getting, I'm not making people feel
behind.
When I don't make people feel, bad or guilty about me, about bothering me, because what you and I are for this business now,
hey, you got a minute?
Are the resource, we're
as we should be.
And we do a lot of other things, but we're the, we're the folks that the people come to ask questions.
Yeah.
And so we have
unless the truck mount breaks, then it's great.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. But I would tell you, set communication windows, make sure that people know how to communicate with you. You set the rules around how people are going to communicate, and you turn off things when you're not wanting to be communicated with, and put notes up on your door. Do not bother me in meetings. Like you have the on-air sign, and then just, you need to really block out time where you can just rest your mind. I know that this is, as a business owner, this is a janitorial business podcast. I'm going to tell you right now, you want to clear the shit up out of your mind. All right. Number one, give up social media.
Yeah, there's nothing on there.
There's nothing on there worth watching except for us.
Some of the fails are pretty funny though.
And if you are, then discipline yourself and say, I'm only going to watch it for this amount of time.
My thing is I can't do TikTok. Like if I have people send me TikTok videos and I'll tell them like, I can't do TikTok because my thing is I'll get into TikTok and then 4 hours later, I'm still in TikTok scrolling. It's like a trap.
It's a total
So
drug.
I'd leave it alone. I was like, I just can't do it. I was like, I'll do Facebook, but and maybe Instagram, but I just can't do TikTok.
No, I would say that's number one. The other is that you don't have to be the person at every party who knows every new series that's on television, right? And it seems judgmental, and I know that. I mean, I like TV, but I also really like to be able to block out some time just to sit and just be in my own skin, like just hang out. Now, like you said, everybody does this differently.
Yeah.
For you, it's going to be like, I want to sit and watch a movie with my kids and be connected with them. Like my personality doesn't allow for me to have stimuli, right? Like if I have a lot of stimulus, I get caught up in, my brain just goes like 1,000 miles an hour all the time. So
I'm the opposite. If I don't get stimulus, my brain goes 1,000 miles all the time.
Yeah, I need to chill. So you're gonna have to find your space. You're gonna have to find what does your rest look like, and
I would say something I have done is I've sat down and written out things that are important to me, right? And like Matt's talking about atomic habits, like by getting better at those things every day. If you want to have a clean house, you can't go clean it once a week and then be like, okay, good. Let's wait till next week, or let's wait for next month. It'll be clean again. Like just do a little bit of it every day.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with with golf and things like that, which I'm struggling with right now, by the way.
I think that's a constant struggle.
Shout out to Casey, my golf coach, but he's helping me. And whether that's like your family or whatever, or even like this, I'm getting burnt out. I need to find out ways to do that. There are resources for you out there. But first thing is worry about your regular health. Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
First things first. And I know like for us, I don't need no doctor. I'm not just go to the doctor, get your regular checkups, your blood work, all that kind of stuff. So, it's not like something else. Right.
Yeah.
And then from there, find out what makes you work. Because a lot of times people they don't understand, like, I need to take time off. How do I do that? Like Matt's saying, he's got to turn everything off, go by himself.
Yeah.
What energizes you, what re-energizes you. And
I think for someone like me, my personality and probably my frequency, because I think that's a good way of putting it, right? Is that everybody has different frequencies. For my frequency, I need complete and utter silence and calm, right? That in order for me to be able to get rebalanced. That's not the case for all people, and you make a great point. Get your physical stuff handled. When you know that you're okay, work on your diet, work on your, work on your exercise.
It's also mental health. It's not just physical health.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there, I'd say probably every one of my family is neurodivergent, and it's just like, it's not don't be ashamed of it. There's medications you can take, whatever it is. And if you need to take them, take them. It's your journey. It's no one else's journey.
Yeah. Well,
that's a lot of the situation.
We are not sponsored by Merck or Pfizer. But anyway, I will say that, when it comes to business burnout, if you haven't already felt it, I guarantee you will. And when you start feeling it, you need to set up some boundaries, and start creating better routines and habits for yourself. And I think a big thing that's going to really, that's going to throw a wrench into the mix and you don't even know what's going to happen is that you're already burnt out, and you then, because you've been working, burning the candle at both ends, now your family is like, Dad, you're never around.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh man,
I'm never around because I'm here trying to support you, kid.
Right. And so that could be your breaking, point. Right. So
I didn't ask for that.
What I always tell, and I still do this with my wife and kids is, and I'll tell them like, hey, it's going to be a stressful couple of months because, we have new people starting up in Arizona. I'm going to be back and forth a lot. And, what you can count on is I'm going to call you every night when I'm away. I'm going to make sure you know that I love you and all those kind of things. But, I'm going to be heads down getting stuff done, so don't think that there's anything about you. that, that I don't love you guys or whatever. Yeah. Because what I don't need is
that stress
to be working all this time. And then all of a sudden, like, they're like, you don't even love us anymore. And I'm like, because there wasn't an agreement. There wasn't a partnership in that conversation. So, these are kind of the things that it's like, how do you get the trap doors, to stay closed, and I think that's a big one is, get your routines in place, set some boundaries, work on your physical and mental health, and recognize when things are starting to pop up and talk to people, like just talk to people. And when it comes to business, the biggest advantage that you have in business is that you don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
Right. You may have to sacrifice a little bit of extra profit to put somebody else in a position.
It's always a temporary thing.
It's always temporary because the things you do the best, you can't do them the best if you're doing things that you suck at. Right. It's going to take you twice as long to do things that you suck at than it is to do things that you're really good at. So hire people who do really well at the things you suck at.
Yeah.
So that you can do good things in the areas that you do
maybe
really well in.
Social media or making videos or whatever it is. You're not good at that. Be like, my videos look like trash.
I wouldn't even consider doing what Jordan's doing right now.
No,
like it wouldn't even cross my mind to create a video or to do a podcast. It wouldn't even cross my mind. Right. But because, we have great, really talented people around us. They're like, hey, you guys,
so we get to talk.
Yeah, you guys know a lot of stuff. Like, you should be sharing this with other people who are in these communities that are doing this. They don't have a resource. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we do it. Right. But it's not something that just came to mind. It was because of brilliance in other positions. So
yeah,
use your resources to help reduce some of your stress as well. So, all right. So I want to acknowledge the fact that there, we really push a hustle culture, right?
And we really do. I mean, I've been that person that's like, you sit back and you look at all the things that we've done and like, we just haven't done enough. We haven't done enough. And I mean, I think Matt and I are a little bit different with that, is like our goals are a little bit out here. Because I feel like the burden of not just my family, but I have franchisees' family, I have everybody else's family. It's just like, hey, we're put on this earth for so much more. So that's why we push. But all that being said, that may be BS. I might push this because I want to push. I don't know. But
yeah,
like right here is like encouraging people, telling them they're not alone. Find yourself somebody you can talk to, man. I don't care who it is, your buddy. And that's a good thing. As you guys probably know, I'm ex-military. So there's always somebody at the VA. Go talk to somebody. Do you have the emergency line? I'm like, dude, do I look okay? I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
But, find yourself a buddy to talk to, that would be your family member, your brother, your friend, your daughter, your wife, whoever it is that you can talk to about stuff that you probably don't want to share with your wife or somebody else. You got to talk about it. Once you verbalize it, you can solve the problem. I'm a firm believer in that keeping it in and not verbalizing things, you can never solve a problem. You're always going to be burnt out.
And no one's going to give you a medal for being the tough guy, right? Like no one gives a crap that you can tolerate more stress than someone else. Like I know that there have been moments in my career where I've cracked, where I'm just like, but no one knows that. Like, I'm not running through the office, with my clothes on fire, Well, I'm just saying, like, that doesn't happen because
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, I know.
You're in the pants,
right?
Underwear again.
But these are things that it's like, it's not, I know that people stress and you've got to have someone to talk to. And if I had a dream, right, for OctoClean Media and this forum, these peers of ours that we're working with, is that like, it's not just like, hey, how do I clean this sink so that it looks really good? And what chemical should I use? And hey, I'm dealing with, this and this. It's like somebody get in there and be like, man, I am ready to bust. Like, I can't handle this right now. Like, this is what's happening with this employee. And then this over here is happening. Like, how do you guys handle the stress? And let's let people actually be vulnerable enough to have a real conversation, because it's not being had. And, we're in an industry where we're dealing with people that are stretched all over our communities cleaning at night, and we can't be everywhere.
And not only that, you're in an industry where everybody thinks that everyone knows how to clean. Everybody thinks that they can do your job.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. And not only that, the people that you hire think that they can do it better than you.
Yeah. And the only reason that you're the owner is because you got lucky.
Yeah. I mean, it's, so there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of stress, it's just, and look, we have some answers. We know how to, we're dealing with it. But
I'd love to see how you guys are dealing with it.
But no day is the same as the next, you know, and
you can have a day that's like, oh, it's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you have a day like, you just want to go home and, turn everything off.
Just turn everything off and go, go in a corner and, curl up in a little ball in a fetal position. It happens. It happens. So, but, I want you to just remind you that if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you're doing it because you believe that this industry needs transformation, that there's an opportunity for people to recognize in this industry that we should be treated with dignity and respect, and that we should be paid for the services that we offer as professionals, as tradespeople. And if you believe that, there's something that gets me through it. Most of the time, it's that, we were crapped on, just like you guys get crapped on by people, saying, hey, you're a janitor, all this kind of stuff. When I see success in people who don't think they have the ability to do it,
that's the best part.
That is the reason we do it, right? And so for you, it's going to be the same thing.
And then, on that flip side of that coin too, is I see people that have squandered. Like, I look at this as like, I have no more skills or no more talent than the next person.
Nope.
Right. And I'll see people that are like, oh, you're so much more talented than we were at that age. And you would rather chill at your house. And I'm talking like maybe a franchise owner or something like that. And you're squandering what we would have died for a $10,000 account.
Yeah. And we would have died to have resources and people who would be able to help you, with training.
And that's really the only reason we're doing what we do here, and I know we're going to move to share a story. So I have a story that, I can definitely share. So
go for it.
Especially like with this, like the burnout conversation. So there was a time when I wasn't working here at OctoClean and I had my own business. And I was a firm believer, as I got brought up, that you can do it all. You know what I mean? You need every cent that comes in the door. And you're if they come ringing, you just need to service it. So I was working day and night. I was working at night cleaning, at daytime doing carpet cleaning in houses and all this stuff. Had a bunch, and everybody in the hourly was like, this dude's making it. Like, I've got money. He's got everything he wants. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this shit anymore. I remember sitting in a Coco's restaurant with my wife and kid, and it's just like, I can't do this anymore. It's at the time now, it's just not worth it. I was like, I'll go find a different job. We'll go do something, but I can't do this. So you get to the point where that burnout for me recognized, like, it's not about the money. It's not about everything else. It's about the point where it's like, what I'm doing is not worth it.
Yeah.
And then I finally realized, like Matt's saying right now, is like, you know what? I have resources to help. Let's just hire other people. Okay, cool. So I started hiring people, and I didn't have to go out at night. And I would just go out maybe a couple times during the night, a couple days a week, or go out and clean carpet and things like that. And it really just transformed everything. And I'm like, you know what? At first I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And when I got down to all of it, I was like, you know what? I'm making more money now doing this than I was running everywhere, doing everything, by not going out and cleaning people's carpet in the daytime, by not doing this kind of stuff. And I have more free time. And that ended up being a good thing. So while people probably recognize, like, this dude's he's going to freaking lose his mind, to the point where the pastor of my church was knocking on my window because I had worked all day that Saturday and all day that Saturday night. And I was meeting my wife and kids at the church, and he thought I was a homeless person sleeping in the car. I'm like, no, I'm waiting to go to church. And he's like, oh, I didn't know it was you, Greg. Okay, that's fine. And that's the point where it's like, you know what? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And then just changing it and recognizing it. But that's what it took for me to do it. That doesn't mean it's not going to take that for you guys. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's like,
it doesn't have to be rock bottom.
You can be like, I can start hiring people. This is the calculations I am. So that's where I'm at with this, like trying to help you guys. Like you don't have to do that.
But it's crazy, Greg, is I when we talk to folks on, you know, consulting calls and, you know, even in the group, you know, thing, you know, over at OctoClean Media, that people want to grind it out, right? They feel like they have to
like
grind it out.
It feels good. Like it's a badge.
It is a badge of honor. And I'm like, you know, you need a plan. Like, let's start with a plan. And, you know, if you only need X dollar amount to be able to continue to survive, right? You can pay your bills, you can do this, you can send your kids to school, you can, you know, put food on the table, then that's your goal. And anything over that goal is your opportunity to you know, automate.
Abundance.
It's to automate, is to find ways to hire people to do things. It's when you start living beyond your means, then you fall into the trap, right? And, you know, so much of it is decisions around money. That I see people, you know, fall victim to burnout as well, you know?
Yeah. They want to have all that money. They don't view it as like, there's not enough.
Well, they want all the stuff.
Yeah.
They want the stuff. They want the stuff. They want the experiences. They want the visibility, like the appearance of success and riches. And that is I mean, if you want to talk about the perfect mousetrap, it's called consumerism.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want, I mean, so for us, it's looking at it and saying like, why are we actually doing this? Like, we're actually doing this because we want to transform the janitorial industry and get people to actually give a crap about what we're doing here and pay us what we're worth.
Because I tell franchisees, like, you're not a janitor. Yes, we clean buildings. You are a trainer. You're here to train your employees the best you can so you can be free to do what you want to do.
I mean, that's the gift.
That's what it is. That's the same thing for all you guys watching that's what it is. Because now you get to have a good manager, someone that makes their job easier for their employee. You're going to have a great trainer. And that skill is everywhere. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. You can train people, doesn't matter where you're at.
And if you have to go through 5 people to find a good one, and you have to interview 50
just do it.
To get one, and you make a mistake 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 150 times. I don't care how many times it is. Every time you make these mistakes and you hire a bad person, you're closer to finding the right person.
Of course, analyze what you're doing with training. If you're not training them well, and they walk, they're going to walk before you fire them.
Yeah. Now, I've hired a lot of bad salespeople before I hired good ones. Mm-hmm. I've hired a lot of bad, you know, executives before I hired good ones. You know, people running territories before I hired good ones. I mean, I spent more time and money on things that I didn't want to spend time and money on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we were simply just trying to put a quick fix on something. You know, we're not alone in the mistakes, but the difference, I think, for you and me, for than a lot of folks, is that we're willing to make them, right? And we lean on each other through the stuff and acknowledge our mistakes, right? And
then we just move on. Because I mean, what are you going to live in it?
No, because the vision is going to have to stay the vision, and that's to transform the janitorial industry. So if that's what you're looking to do in your area,
we're looking for people like that.
We're looking for people like that. You know, I mean, we're looking for you to be on OctoClean Media so you can be part of the, the transformation. I mean, that's what we're looking for. So, all right. So
being said,
this was a heavy topic,
pretty
bro.
Deep.
And I remember Andrea talking to us, right? And she was like, we need to do something that's other than janitorial and just like talk about business related stuff and like dealing with things. And this one was like, what's the?
No, I think it's good.
It's a really good one.
It does give us that extra, like, you know what? It's because not many people get to see executives. And let's be honest, I'm on a lot of boards. I'm on a lot of things like this where people have been in school training on how to be an executive.
Yeah.
And I'll sit in these like, yes, I was in the military for about 8 years, but I wasn't an officer. I wasn't in charge of whole, divisions. So I didn't have any of that. And I'll sit there and hear some of these people that are like, what? You're going to do that? That doesn't make no damn sense.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, we assume that we just got given this. No, like Matt's saying, we had to make mistakes to learn the lesson to say, hey, look, I would do it this way. So for you guys to see that from us, I think it's a valuable thing for all of you.
I hope so.
And if not, I mean, hey.
No, just subscribe.
Share it with somebody else.
Just subscribe.
Share it with somebody else. It's like, hey, I'm about, and it doesn't have to be janitorial. It's everything. It's, you're burnt out in your life.
Yep.
You know, we're here for you.
All right. So I'm going to, you want to get the first?
Yeah. So Omar,
we're in the questions and answers.
We're in the questions and answers. These are questions that people put on videos or on a podcast.
Yep.
Omar GL8 PE.
Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about offering a promotion like first 2 cleanings are free when signing a contract?
When you're starting out.
That's like going to the mall and getting the one shoe clean. And they're like, you got to get the other shoe clean. It's going to cost you $50.
Yeah. Here's how I feel about that.
Don't do it.
Omar. Or I don't know if it's Omar or Omer.
Omer.
Anyway.
Omer, if you had H. Sorry, Omar.
Value what you offer.
Yep.
And nothing is free. So I would say this is not a good way. I would rather you spend the time, go to, get some resources. We have the prospecting guide on OctoClean Media. Go and look at some of our YouTube channels, learn how to sell, learn how to go out and promote yourself and create value. And do not give away anything for free. I mean, it's, you're never going to get paid and they're just going to go find somebody else. I mean,
what's that? If it's free, give me 3.
Yeah. So it's not going to be 2, bro. It's going to be 3.
Yep.
All right. You want to get that one?
Sandy Wexler 5282 asks, can you subcontract some of the work, such as floor stripping and waxing? Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. I mean, but this goes back to, does this subcontractor have a legitimate corporate entity? Do they have liability insurance? Are they adding you on as an additional insured?
What do their current customers think about them?
Yeah. Do they have workers' compensation? Do they pay people on payroll? And do you have references? And if you have all of that stuff and you know that they're qualified, then you can use subcontractors.
And ultimately, can I come work with you? So you can learn.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, is asking them, can I come work with you? Because eventually you're going to want to do that work.
Yep.
Eventually.
Or at least know what it means when someone says, I'm going to scrub and recoat or strip a floor.
You definitely want to know that.
You definitely know that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to thank everyone for watching or listening to this very heavy episode of the OctoClean podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment with the topics that you want to discuss next time. And if you're listening, don't forget to rate and review the podcast. And with that, we'll see you next time. See you later.